Have you ever counted how many thoughts race through your mind in a single minute? Not grand, profound reflections on the meaning of life, the universe, or your career. Just the tiny, sticky, mundane thoughts that slowly eat us alive day by day. Pay the internet bill. Buy cough syrup for my son. Send the quarterly report. Parent-teacher meeting at 6 p.m. Oh my God, did I turn off the iron this morning, or didn't I? Marina was 34 years old, and she was hovering on that dangerous edge where a deep nervous breakdown begins. She was raising a 7-year-old first grader, Tyoma, working remotely as a marketer for a large company, and trying her absolute hardest to be the perfect wife and mother. Her brain had long resembled an old computer with 200 tabs open at the exact same time. Every single one of them felt vital, and it seemed that if she closed even one, her entire world would fall apart. Psychologists call this state cognitive overload. It is a point where the human psyche simply refuses to process new information because the old mental resource has been depleted to the very bottom. Marina was a competent specialist, a caring mother, and, as she thought, a normal wife. But inside her, something was quietly, unnoticed, dying every single day from chronic fatigue. That evening, it was dark and gloomy outside, and a cold autumn rain was falling relentlessly. Marina was returning home with Tyoma after his after-school program. They were both freezing and soaked to the bone. Stepping into the hallway, Marina heavily set her grocery bags down on the floor. In that exact second, the thin plastic tore, and a carton of milk hit the tiles with a dull thud, bursting open. The white liquid instantly splattered across the entire floor, seeping under their shoes. Little Tyoma looked at the messy puddle, then at his mother, and spoke quietly, almost in a whisper, "Mom. Did you buy the colored paper? It's just that we need to bring an origami cutout for our first class tomorrow." Marina froze. It was a minor thing. Just plain paper. But it became the final drop that broke the dam she had been building for months. She didn't scream. Instead, she slowly sat straight down on the dirty hallway floor, right next to the white puddle of milk, hid her face in her hands, and began to weep helplessly and hysterically. Frightened, Tyoma walked closer and wrapped his tiny arms tightly around her neck. Right at that moment, the front door opened, and her husband, Igor, walked into the apartment. Seeing this scene, he instantly dropped his bag, took off his shoes, and sat on the floor right next to his wife. He gently asked their son to go to his room, and then he pulled Marina tightly against his chest. "Marina, what's wrong?" He soothed her quietly, stroking her hair. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "It's just milk. A carton of milk, we will clean it all up." "It's not about the milk, Igor." Marina cried out through her tears, catching her breath. "I just can't do this anymore. I forget everything, do you understand? Absolutely everything. I forgot about this stupid paper for school. This morning I missed an important deadline for a major client because I spent 40 minutes looking for clean socks for Tyoma. I forgot to wish your mother a happy milestone birthday, and now she thinks I'm ignoring her. My head. It's just exploding. I work 24 hours a day, but I am never, do you hear me, never catching up. I am a terrible mother and a worthless employee." Igor listened to her intently, wiped the tears from her cheeks, and said seriously, "You are the best mother and wife in the world. But you have taken on the role of a god who must control the movement of every single microparticle in this house. You are trying to act as the operating system for our entire life. You need to delegate this." "To whom?" Marina asked in despair. "To you. You are a good husband, Igor, but you forget where your keys are every 5 minutes. Or should we hire a personal assistant? We can barely afford our mortgage." Igor didn't say a word. He silently pulled her phone out of his pocket, sat next to her on the couch, and unlocked the screen. He opened a new app with a sleek, minimalist voice-activated artificial intelligence interface. "Not to me. And not to people," Igor said calmly. "To this. This is a new AI assistant. It doesn't just look up information on the internet. It thinks, it structures, and most importantly, it remembers everything. Do this. Every time a domestic or work-related thought pops up in your head, don't hold it in. Press the button and say it to it. Just dump your brain right here. The next morning, after Igor left for work and Tyoma went to school, Marina was left alone in the kitchen with a pile of unwashed dishes and laundry. She held the phone in her hands, staring at the pulsing microphone icon. She felt awkward, almost foolish, a grown woman about to talk to a soulless robot. Yet, that familiar sense of anxiety was tightening in her throat again. Marina closed her eyes, sighed, and pressed the button. A soft, pleasant chime sounded. Hi. She began uncertainty. They told me you could help. I am just losing my mind with all of this. From the speaker came a calm, incredibly lifelike, and natural voice of the assistant. Hi, Marina. I can see that your stress level is indeed very high right now. Let's try to offload your brain. Don't worry about finding the right words or phrasing. Just tell me absolutely everything that is bothering you right now, down to the smallest details. I will write it all down and organize it for you. Go ahead, I'm listening. It was as if a floodgate opened inside Marina. She began pacing around the kitchen, gesturing actively, talking to the phone as if it were her closest, truest friend. Okay. I need to do a complex competitor analysis for the ATEC company by 3 o'clock today, and my mind is completely blank, not a single idea. I also need to cook dinner, but the only things in the fridge are chicken breast and broccoli, and they are starting to dry out. My son Tyoma flatly refuses to memorize his poem for tomorrow. We spent an hour shouting at each other over it yesterday. And the washing machine. It spins so loudly it sounds like an airplane. I need to call a repairman, but I have no idea who to look for. And yes, I still need to buy that cursed colored paper. Marina stopped in the middle of the room, breathing heavily, and tapped the stop button. A brief message appeared on the screen. Organizing information. Literally 5 seconds passed, and the assistant spoke again. Marina, I've got everything. Your chaos is now my clear plan. Let's go one by one. First, the analysis for ATEC. I have already gathered data on their 3 main competitors for the last quarter and highlighted 3 key mistakes in their marketing. I sent a completed draft of the report to your email. Take a look at it. It will take you just 10 minutes instead of 3 hours of work. Second, your dinner. Chicken and broccoli are an excellent base for a French quiche. You will need just 20 minutes. The step-by-step recipe and a timer are already on your screen. Third, the poem for Tyoma. He doesn't want to learn it because he doesn't understand the meaning of some archaic words. Offer him a game. Let him draw each line as a separate comic book frame. I have already prepared simple ideas for these drawings for you. And fourth, regarding the washing machine. Based on the sound you described, it is most likely a worn-out bearing. I found 3 repair shops with a 4.9 rating right in your neighborhood. You just need to tap one button on the screen, and I will send them the service request myself. Marina slowly lowered herself onto a chair. Her eyes were wide with astonishment. She looked at the smartphone screen, where her massive, unmanageable catastrophe had turned into a short, concise, and incredibly simple checklist. What's more, the machine had already solved half of these tasks for her. Marina felt the tension physically drain from her body. Her shoulders dropped, her jaw relaxed. She finally took her first deep, peaceful breath in long months. 2 weeks passed. Marina's life had changed beyond recognition. Now, she could sit peacefully in a cozy coffee shop, slowly sipping her favorite coffee and reading a fiction book without flinching at every phone call. Next to her on the table lay her phone, its screen occasionally lighting up with short, reassuring notifications from the assistant. Marina, your report for the manager has been approved without any revisions. Your work block for today is completely finished. Time to relax. At home, everything became different too. In the evenings, Marina no longer yelled at her son. They sat together on the rug, coloring fun comic drawings, and Tayoma easily, laughingly recited the complex poem from memory, simply recalling his own images on the paper. It was strange, but the very technology Marina had once feared so much had restored her humanity. She suddenly realized with complete clarity. Artificial intelligence was not created to replace people or strip them of their jobs. It was created to take away the dull, mechanical, routine drudgery that turns us into soulless robots day by day. The human brain is biologically ill-equipped to hold gigabytes of domestic reminders and endless shopping lists. It was designed to create, to think, and, most importantly, to feel. Before long, her manager called Marina in for a chat and announced with a smile that she was receiving a substantial bonus. He noted that her recent projects were a true breakthrough, full of fresh and creative ideas. He added that she used to look incredibly tired, but now her eyes were shining again. One evening, a particularly warm, cozy atmosphere filled the apartment. A floor lamp glowed softly in the corner of the living room. When Igor returned from work and stepped across the threshold, an incredible sight met his eyes. Marina and Tayoma had built a massive fort right in the middle of the living room using chairs, blankets, and couch cushions. They were sitting inside with a small flashlight, reading fairy tales and laughing out loud, happily. Meanwhile, Marina's phone lay far away, on a high dresser in the opposite corner of the room, turned face down. Igor walked closer with a smile and sat on the floor next to the fort. Marina noticed her husband, carefully crawled out from the cushions, sat beside him, and happily but tiredly rested her head on his shoulder. "So, how is your digital assistant doing?" Igor asked quietly, keeping the gentle atmosphere intact. "I see you two have become best friends." "You know," Marina replied just as softly, a deep, genuine gratitude ringing in her voice. "Today I caught myself thinking that for the first time in many years, I know exactly what day of the week it is. I noticed how beautiful the weather is outside. And I finally remembered what color my son's eyes are when he genuinely laughs. Do you like the way the app works?" Her husband smiled. "It just does the things that used to consume my time, my energy, and my soul," Marina answered, pressing closer to her husband. "It remembers all my deadlines, bills, repairs, and reports. It does all of that so that I can finally do what no machine in the world can ever do in my place." "And what is that?" Igor asked, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. Marina looked at her son, who was still whispering something inside the blanket fort, then turned her eyes to her husband and answered tenderly. "To be present, right here and now. To love you both. And to just live." The room grew completely quiet. And at that very moment, across the room on the dresser, the phone screen lit up for a second with a brief, unnoticed line from the assistant. "Family mode successfully activated. See you tomorrow, Marina. Enjoy the moment." The screen went dark again, leaving the family alone with their true, living happiness that we are so afraid that artificial intelligence will take away our jobs or replace communication. But what if he's here to save us from burnout? To free our space for love, creativity, and peace? How do you use technology? Do they help you or, on the contrary, add digital noise? Write your story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, like if this story resonated in your heart. Take care of your time.